Many parents will know how hard it is to get their kids to stop playing video games, and we're told things are getting harder, aren't we, Kylie?
Yes,
we don't have to be told. Research shows that video game addiction is rising because the game makers are using the same techniques that are used to keep people playing poker machines.
Evil, right? Video game makers are employing psychologists and neuroscientists to include rewards within the game with the aim to turn players into addicts. Now, critics say some video games should be regulated the same way as the gambling industry.
Joining us to discuss this further is Josh Crook from the Law Faculty at Adelaide University, who is also himself a video game developer, and Dr Sally Gainsbury from the University of Sydney's Gambling Research Clinic. Good morning to you both. Now, Josh, you're a long-term gamer. You now develop your own games, as we mentioned. Is this something that you think has now become integral to video gaming, using techniques that are going to hook people not only into the game but into spending money on the game?
I think it's divided in the industry. There's some game companies who are completely against this practice and find it very unethical.
Really?
But some of the biggest companies are actually involved in using these techniques.
Because originally, you know, game developers were sort of, you know, they were hobbyists, enthusiasts, you know, backyard nerds, I guess. But now it's run by these massive conglomerations, isn't it?
That's exactly right. And so some of the companies have, you know, $1 billion turnover. Some of the games cost over $250 million to make. So this is big business now, not like it used to be, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. Sally, you're a psychologist and you specialise in addictive behaviour, particularly gambling. So what should parents be concerned about here? I mean, is this setting their kids up for a lifetime of addiction? If they're getting them young, they're getting them as 15-year-olds. Is this a concern? Is this what we've got to look forward to?
Well, at the University of Sydney Gambling Treatment and Research Clinic, we've actually looked at this in empirical studies. So we've surveyed over 500 adolescents, and what we found was of real concern that about 30% of the young people who had played the gambling games online that don't give out real money but look like gambling games for young people, 30% of those actually moved over to real money gambling. So that's obviously concerning for parents.
That's shocking.
I mean, we know in, pardon me, gaming, you know, that there are certain reward structures designed to play into the way that the human brain works, and things like using chips instead of real money so that people dissociate money. Are these the kinds of things we're starting to see turn up in video games?
Yeah, what we're seeing is a lot of fake currency being used by the major companies. So that does create that disassociation effect. So you don't feel like you're spending money.
Yes.
And that makes you spend a lot more of it than you would if you were spending real cash.
Sure.
And there are a few other techniques, including what's called a loot box, which is a randomized reward, where you pay money, you don't know what you're getting, and you'll get a random reward from it. And that seems to be highly addictive in psychology. When you're given a random reward, you become addicted to wanting to know sort of what that reward is.
It's like a mystery box.
Yeah.
So, Sally, as parents, when we look at what our kids are playing, we're not going to look and see like a thing that looks like a poker machine, are we? It could look like a warfare game. I mean, what sort of an appearance are these games taking? They're not necessarily going to look like this coming up on our kids' computer screens, are they?
Well, surprisingly, some of them actually do. So there's a series of games called social casino games that look exactly like slot machines or poker or a casino. Children can walk around a casino and pick which games they want to play.
Oh my God.
And these games are concerning because what they're telling children is that it's easy to win at gambling because they're overinflated. Because it's virtual credits, they can win more than's likely in real world.
Doesn't matter if the house loses, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So we found there's actually a practice effect where 1/3 of the young people playing these games actually thought that they were going to succeed in gambling because they'd had these success within the games, even though they're not related at all to
they'd
the real
reached
world.
level 25.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh
And of course, you know, gambling is highly regulated in this country, but it seems that video gaming is not regulated in anything like the same way, Sally.
That's right. So there is some consumer protection law that applies to all products, but these games are not part of gambling because they don't have any real-world payouts. So even though you can put real money into the games, you can't win anything out, and that means they fall outside of the regulations.
Yeah, they're still enticing you to spend money, though. And I think, Josh, the fact that so many of them are now free, and free on your mobile, so you can play any time you like, but then start docking you down the track is really fascinating.
That's exactly right. So they say they're free, but what they set up is that once you lose the game, they'll say, oh, do you want to pay $1 now, or do you want to wait a few hours and then play? And so it gets you in the habit of spending that money to keep playing the game. And so it's free at the start, but in the long run, people actually spend more money on these games.
So I guess for a parent, then, the thing is to investigate what the mode of the game is and what the tricks are being used, to avoid them. Josh, Sally, thank you so much. Cheers.
Thanks, man.